Hey, y'all. The little live button didn't pop up, so excuse that mannequin-esque start off for today's session. But welcome to another episode of Build Through Broadcast with the Emerald Green Collective. I am one of your co-hosts, Coach Shantae. We also have joining us Coach Shayola and Coach Latoya. And today we are going to continue our conversation with fibroids. And if you missed last week when we had our first amazing guest with Yaya Olasunde Ajame. I highly recommend that you go back and watch that replay and get into the Yoni Steam Institute, y'all. That was so informative, and I am still on this day trying to figure out how I can get a little bit more of that knowledge. So as soon as new class dates are released, I'm going to be seeing about adding that to my calendar. But today is our fourth and final installment of the Fibroid Frequency. Stay tuned. Welcome back, y'all. So today we are going to continue our conversation regarding the fibroid frequency. And today we're going to be concluding our discussion with a little bit more chat around the mental impact that fibroids can have on women. So to start us off, this subject was brought to us by Coach Shayola. So I'm going to take a page out of her book, and we're going to go back to one of the first questions that we like to ask, which is, why did you choose this subject and what would you like the people to know?
All right, all right. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much again for tuning in. So, some time ago, probably about 2 years ago, I started reading The Physiological Enigma of Woman. And if you haven't read this book, you definitely should read it, especially if you're a woman or someone that is striving to overstand the woman. And the reason why I chose this, it just made sense that all of our diseases, our being is mind, body, spirit. So, like having a physical manifestation, a spiritual manifestation, there's also a mental manifestation of things, and fibroid is no different. So, I wanted to bring up this book, y'all. Well, first of all, have a pen and paper if you decide that this is something that you will read, because this book is extremely nutrient dense. So what I'm going to try to do is pull this up on the screen so that we can get a little context to uh, why this book, it doesn't speak specific to fibroids. Let me just say that. This speaks more so to that of the menstrual cycles. Um, and of course, fibroids reveal themselves more often than not if you have the fibroids of the uterus, right? I know there are fibroids that can be in different parts of the body. All right, so let's take a look see. But that's basically why I chose it, because you know what's going on mentally that allows this to show up. Let me see, am I doing this right? Maybe. Hold on, y'all. Y'all know how I am with this technology. I'm a technology guru, y'all. I'm a technology guru. It just takes a little time to
All of
show
these,
up.
all of these.
That's right. All right. So what I don't see though is it is giving me all the things but what I'm looking for. So let's I guess carry the conversation on. I'm striving to I can see it on one screen, but then when I hit to share, um it's not allowing me. Oh, I see what I was doing wrong. Never mind, y'all. Never
The
mind.
guru has entered the chat.
Hell. All right. So hopefully y'all can see this. Now again, this whole book is just like now I have gotten halfway through the book. It's so much like yellow highlighting in there. But this is just for context. I don't want anything to be taken out of context as we're reading this. So of course, we're always going to suggest that you read entirely to get the full gist of this book. But I want to bring our attention down to the fourth paragraph. And it says the more rapid growth of the female brain during childhood is not only brought to a premature end by the commencement of menstruation, but completely stops a few years after, while the more slowing growing male brain continues to develop until age 30. This unnatural succession of the female brain growth as a result of the menstruation enables the relatively inferior male brain to finally surpass and exceed the female brain in development and capacity, leading to the mental superiority. Yeah, that word. I see. I can't even say it because it's just like, wait, what? Of the male over the female, which would not exist if the menstrual handicap, in whose absence the female brain would grow vastly and suppress the male. Now, this goes on to say, could it be that this is taking place due to societal and the reason why I am not reading directly from the screen is because I didn't download these in order. So I don't even know if the next page will be 11. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that. So could it be that through false religious and medical teachings have perpetually foisted ministration on women in order to prevent them from becoming their mental superiors and keeping them in a state of sexual subjugation? So why is that important? Why did I highlight this particular section of the book? Basically, the more we bleed, the more mental capacity we lose. Also, the more iodide we lose. And I'll let Coach Shantae veggie back on the iodide aspect. But it's basically saying the more we bleed, again, the more we are losing out. And it also states like a menstrual cycle really isn't even a natural part of a woman's in primitive times, a natural part of her makeup. So if we have fibroids, again, speaking to the uterus, could it be the more and more we bleed mentally, the more we are maybe not as vital? If we're losing more and more iodine through the blood through a regular menstrual cycle, could it be that we're losing vast and even more amounts of iodine, which is necessary for our growth? So what do y'all think about, those passages? I'm curious and
I find
today. Inquiring minds
it's
want
all
to know.
right. I find
Thank
it
you.
to be, you're welcome. I find it very interesting because I haven't had a chance to read this great book, but I will get it. But I do find that paragraph you just read very insightful when it was mentioned that the blood bleeding actually slows down, slows down your vitality or your alertness or your whatever. I just find that very insightful, but it is something that I do feel like we need to know more about, because I never knew that. I mean, I never heard of that before. So this is something that we definitely need to be educated on, because, I know growing up, that's just it's a kind of like a rites of passage to get your cycle and to bleed and for it to be painful or whatever. That's like what it comes. That's what is talked about. People talk about how they're not looking forward to their cycles and all of that, but we can see that it's the reason why is because we are, from the mental standpoint, the emotional, the physical, all of the spiritual standpoint, we are actually bleeding way more than we need to. And it's almost like it's a good debate question. Are we supposed to have cycles? Like is that, it's kind of that
continuation.
Right. So it's like this information, I'm striving to digest just that paragraph, because it's just like, wow, I never heard that. Now I want to do more research on this very paragraph, So that's what I took in just from what you just read.
Word. I love that, though. I think we do need to have a whole separate conversation on, is it indeed a natural or unnatural process? Of course, we're not primitive. Later on in the broadcast, I'm going to read another little blurb that I was just like, But what were you going to say, Coach Shante?
I was just going to say that this book is very interesting. And thank you for reminding me that I have it. This is one of the books that was on the recommended reading list when I did my Yoni Steam certification. And it's literally been sitting on the shelf. I got it and I just put it over there. I get to you. And I'm really grateful that you were like, let's look into this book today, because there's a lot in this book. One of the things that really stood out to me was the conversation around iodine, which is in the next paragraph. And I'll read it real quick. One reason why menstruation imposes such a drain on the female brain, as witnessed by the mental depression and nervousness that recurs at each menstrual crisis, is because it involves an abundant loss of iodine. This explains why the thyroid gland tends to swell at the time of menstruation, just as it does under conditions of iodine deficiency. Since iodine is necessary for the formation of the hormone thyroxine by the thyroid gland, which is necessary for normal brain growth and efficiency, for which reason the birth of congenital idiots is common in inland regions where soils and foods are lacking in iodine, with the result that the thyroid gland does not receive sufficient of this element to form its normal internal secretion. We can understand why menstruation is such a drain on the female brain. Added to loss of iodine is loss of lecithin, a phosphorized fat essential for the nutrition of the brain and the myelin sheaths of the nerves, and also loss of calcium, which stabilizes the nervous system. The loss of these vital substances, plus others, explains why menstruation acts as a drain on the growth and vitality of the female brain, whose development and capacity would be much greater if it were eliminated. That is one of the paragraphs that I had highlighted, because I was just like, what? And what was confirmation about it was that I literally just had a conversation with my friend last night about iodine and my thyroid. Because I was like, I noticed certain things that I feel are hormonal, and I know that the thyroid and iodine support that. So I had just really started on this journey, and then this book is recommended, and one of the first things it talks about is iodine that's lost during menstruation. And I was like, what? So just having this information be right here at my fingertips, and the fact that I've invested in all of these books, and to have the knowledge and information that I need be so accessible now is like really amazing. But just thinking about like my menstrual cycles, thinking about PMS, thinking about all of those different things, I wasn't prone to like depression or nervous. I was prone to rage. I was prone to like be like hair trigger temper in that week prior to my menstrual cycle. And as I have eliminated flesh, eliminated dairy, eliminated all of these other things, I find that my premenstrual phase is not, it almost doesn't exist. Like one thing that I have is like my face may break out, but other than that, I'm good. During menses, it's not like a whole lot of extra hoopla. It just comes in, sits down, and go on by the business. It's not a lot of hemorrhaging, so I'm not losing anywhere near as much iodine as I was before. So my mind feels sharper. I don't have any like anger, as no lethargy or anything like that. So it just is really interesting to see the side by side comparison of my own experience as I am walking this journey.
Mm. I mean, so there were a couple of things that you said that stood out. So I'm gonna read this little blurb on dietary control over menstruation. And again, the reason why we're focusing on the moon cycle is because that's as it relates to fibroids of the uterus when they would show up. But another thing that she said is, may not have had the depression, but rage was definitely on the radar. So listen to this on page 39 for whoever gets this book, and we'll put the name and the author in the comments so that if you wanted to invest in it, you'll have it. It says Havelock Ellis, man and woman, says on the mental side of irritation or depression may be so pronounced as almost then or quite irritation, to amount to insanity. So let me read that again. On the mental side of irritation or depression may be so pronounced as almost then or quite to amount to insanity. Migraine is a disorder common to this period. Hysterical and epileptic fits often occur at this time. Um, they have erythromania, which I'm not sure what that is, dipsomania, and kleptomania are also especially liable to be developed. When a woman commits a deed of criminal violence, it is likely that she is at her menstrual period. Among the insane, finally, in fact, is universally recognized that during the monthly period, the insane impulse become more marked, if indeed it may not appear only at this time. So let's be clear about that. These facts of morbid psychology are very significant. They emphasize the fact that even in the healthiest woman, a worm, however harmless and unperceived, gnaws periodically at the roots of life. So it's just like, being on your menstrual can have you teetering on some impulses that you may not necessarily feel at any other time during the month. That is that's something, y'all. Like,
Mm.
most crimes are committed when a woman is, if a woman is to commit it, if a woman is to commit it. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think maybe I'm like, this book had me like, what's the next page? And I wrote all of these notes like in the margin and things. So I'm definitely going to go back and spend time with this book. But as it
This
relates
right
to the
here.
dietary control, oh, was someone saying something?
I said this right here. I just gotta say, I thank the Most High that I am delivered, because that plus fire, all the fire in my natal chart is
And
yeah.
it usually
I
is
was
the
I
ones
was
that appear
deserving.
quiet. You, right. So,
Yeah.
knowledge of the revelation between food and menstruation seems to be universal among primitive races of humanity, for which reason primitive people enforce a strict uh, dietetic regimen during the menstrual period, prohibiting those foods which are believed to augment the flow. Now, I can attest to that. Chief among these are animal foods, especially flesh, and for these reasons, among tribes women are forbidden to eat meat or anything that bleeds, as these foods are supposed to increase the severity of the flow. Kefir women are not allowed to drink milk during menstruation, while Indian women of the Critical country in South America are obliged to fast during each menstrual period. Now, I know that I shared in the past when I did my first like fast, my cycle was probably 2 days. So, from my own experience, I know when you follow a strict regimen the week of and the week before your menstrual flow, a lot of the issues that we face or may face will not take place. So, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But anything for you all, anything stands out, anything that you want to bring to the forefront that wasn't necessarily read?
It just makes me think about how important it is for women in particular to know that they need to be mindful of the things that they're taking in, as you mentioned, the week of and the week before, because I feel, because there's a huge tendency, a major tendency for people to load up on their snacks and on their chocolates and some of the things I've even seen on social media, how sometimes it was a kind gesture where I guess it was a man giving their mate like a things for their while they're on their cycle, but it was like loaded with a whole lot of like unhealthy snacks that actually makes it worse, so it's like things like this is unfortunately, I feel like not known, but with us sharing it, us talking about it, I trust that it will eventually, we'll be, as a collective, we'll be more knowledgeable in that. That's what stands out the most to me.
Word. What say you, Coach Shantae?
What stands out to me is the mental impact of the fibroids. Generally, when a woman has fibroids, her menstrual cycles are pretty much another variation of hell. And there are so many women who are just like, listen here, doc, go ahead and just snatch that thing right on up out of there. I don't need it. Nope. It's causing all kinds of problems. I have no desire for children. I already have children, or I don't want children at all. You can go ahead and take the whole thing. Nope. The uterus and the tubes, just leave the vagina. Take the rest of it. I don't need it. And that level of disconnection from your body and from your womb because of the pain and the heavy bleeding and uh, the uncyclical nature of the cycle because of the dis-ease really does wreak havoc, because our menstruation is not just about causing us pain. It is a sign from our body doing something, giving us some type of information. And it'll be very interesting to do more research and have that conversation of whether or not menstruation is natural or not, because I used to hear, first and foremost, Hotep is a word in the Kemetic language that means peace. It has a meaning and it is a language that is not what people have made it out to be. So I will preface that with saying that. But there was this whole thing in the Hotep community about how women menstruating is unnatural. And if you're not taking care of yourself or eating right or doing all of these things, that you are not living a natural life and you're diseased and all of these other kind of things. And I was always just like, it's always got to be some men talking on women's issues. Like, you always got to have something to say, like every single time. And that was my initial reaction to it. It was like all of the neck weaving and everything going on, because I had never even considered the fact that a menstrual cycle may not even be natural. But I say all of that to say, when we take the time to get in tune with our bodies and take the information that our bodies give us and actually apply it and take action on it, we come out far better on the other end. When you hear things that that drum up a reaction in you, take note of that. Even if it's
Mhm.
a negative reaction, why are you having that reaction? Why is your mind, body, spirit reacting to that information that way? And challenge yourself to lean into it. Do some research, find out what it's all about, because being a woman is a beautiful thing. That is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to womanhood. No, we are not here just to breed and bleed, as some people like to phrase it, but that is a part
Breed and
of the
bleed.
experience. That is a part of the experience of being a natural born woman. And it's okay to be angry about your menstruation. It's okay not to be connected to your womb. If you get that knowledge and you say, okay, I'm aware of this, then you can take some type of action to correct it and get into a space of hotep within yourself, peace within yourself, that will allow you to see the world through a different lens and perspective, that allows you to have grace for other people, including yourself, along your journey.
Ditto. Thank you for all of you who are watching us live. Definitely, if you have any questions you would like to join the conversation, please feel free to put your comments in the comment section. We would love to hear from you. If you're seeing this as a replay, please drop replay in the comments. Coach Latoya, anything additional for you? Dang, I lost my little page. Oh, I found it.
I would say that, that thank you for sharing this book, because this is a new book for me, so I definitely will be reading it. I'm always interested in stuff in relation to women's health
Mhm.
and our body and all of that. So this is very insightful. I know that this is a book that you would have to take time on or whatnot for sure. Maybe this could be a potential book club one for us
Oh, yeah.
personally.
I'm
Into
here
that.
for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I never heard of this book before until now. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a dope read. But I wanted to pull out 2 points, right? Because I was sharing with my friend before broadcast this book, and she was like, "Wait a minute, I don't know about all this. I don't know how. When did this happen? When did women start getting their
Mhm.
menstrual cycles, and why? What? I need more." I'm like, "That's why you need to get the book so you can read and we can safely unpack it." But it does state here that. Part of the onset of menstruation is the civilizing of women, right? We are naturally wild, so when we become domesticated, it changes our DNA. It changes the way we perceive life and all the things. It also says that there is much evidence, quote, there is much evidence to support the view of menstruation is the result of sexual indulgence. So, I don't know, right? I need to see the evidence. I need to understand, why that would be.
Agreed.
But it does say that, again, primitive women just didn't experience this. And animals in the wild do not experience a menstruation when throughout life, and even to bring on or to perpetuate birth, if that's a good phrase to use. But menstruation brings to an unnatural and premature halt both physical and mental development of women, which is so like, so you mean to tell me the bleeding is slowing me down? So again, if Afro women, melanated women, are the majority to get fibroids, and the overabundance in bleeding as mamas of the planet, is this by design?
Mm.
You know,
It
because if we
it
can
also
slow,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say it also makes me think of like, okay, so they talk about, menstruation, and then you talk about the, menopause and all of that. So it's like, if this is true, it does make you question about, well, okay, what about menopause, and what about, can you still have babies after? It's just a good, just good conversation, just questioning, based upon what is being said.
They say menopause is also not a natural order of things. So, and again, in perspective, y'all, this is thousands of years of evolution. So we're not talking about, 7 generations ago. We're not saying that. It might be more like 700 generations ago. But yeah, they just say that certain things. And if the womb is reflective of the state of consciousness, just a state of being, if she is constantly exposed to war on the outside, is it reflective to the war that's going on inside? Because it's bloodshed. And technically speaking, they say we should not be shedding blood in war or, again, within the womb. So these are really good, like, little conversational pieces. So we've reached the 30-minute mark. We try not to go too far over, right? Because we know the attention span is, short amongst these times. Amor says, is it Kuruma? I hope I'm saying that, or Kurama. Greetings. Thank you for the information. Please provide the name of the book. Yes, ma'am. We will put it in the comments so that you have it. So stay tuned for that. And anything to close us out, ladies? No. So,
I just wanted to
go ahead, sis.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
If you have uterine fibroids and you are looking for ways to minimize the symptoms, help to shrink and eliminate the fibroids, get your life back into a state where you can enjoy being a woman again and just have peace within your body all throughout the month, we are having our 21-day fall detox that's coming up September the 3rd through the 24th. And we would love for you to join us. We'll be doing our kickoff call on August the 27th. And you can just come in, ask any questions that you may have, prepare to do your first week of shopping. Again, like we've said before, this is a lifestyle detox, so there are no products shipped to you. The only thing that you'll need to do is utilize the resources that you get with the detox. So what is that? This is the 21-day Emerald Veg Camp Guide written by our very own coach, Shayola. You get a 30-minute consultation, a 10-minute tune-up energy reading, access to our digital platform of classes. You also get our weekly group coaching sessions, and we are really excited to bring this together and to help you reach your health goals, whether that be with your womb or just your overall health. So go to emeraldgreencollective.com. Again, that is www.theemeraldgreencollective.com. Click on the services tab and register for the 2023 fall detox. We are looking forward to guiding you to optimal wellness together, y'all.
And to veggie back, it's not specific, the detox, to women. It's for anyone who is suffering from a disease. And again, disease, just chronic or not, just means that there is not ease, ebb and flow to an area or areas of the body. And yeah, so definitely not just for women. I just wanted to make that clear. I've also written another guide. I haven't published it. I have some finishing touches to put on it as it relates to how to eat. It was really for fertility, but how to eat for the cycle, what we shouldn't consume during the different phases of the menstruation. So that will, come out soon enough. So
come through, Coach.
I've been writing. I've been doing some stuff behind the scenes. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next week, Friday. What were we doing? Oh, I know it was on Mondays, y'all. Next week, Friday, we are live every Friday at 2 p.m. So if y'all ever hear me say Monday, like, she's tripping. It's Friday. It's Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, we say peace, love, and wholeness.